There are stories. Kansas City's really good again. You could predict that. Then there's the Seahawks. Pete Carroll, the GM, John Snyder, the Seahawk receivers, their fans, they are feeling it today. Pete Carroll's always had a reputation. College and pro, but mostly pro. He's great with young players. Young players are less cynical, they don't have as much money, and they buy into Pete's relentless energy. And Pete's also great with young players and when he's the star. We don't look at Pete like Andy Reid, this offensive Svengali. Even defensively, is the schematic genius of Bill Belichick? Probably not. But he teaches, he motivates, he builds cultures, and he brings this incredible energy, and the young players in the NFL feed off it. And Russell Wilson, he wanted to cook. He wanted to star. He wanted to lead. And I thought Pete Carroll was nuts to have a backup plan at quarterback called Geno Smith and Drew Lock. Well, I got the Drew Lock part right. Geno Smith looks great. Big, strong kid. Now, New York, they're not good enough to overcome special team blunders. So the Giants did the Seahawks some real favors in this game. But needless to say, what Seattle and Pete Carroll, what he is creating is it's a formula. It's what he does. Go back to the first version of this. They found a star running back, Marshawn Lynch. Now it's Kenneth Walker. You know, they had these young, active linebackers in corners you'd never heard of. Richard Sherman, later rounds. Now they've got a guy from University of Texas, San Antonio, 5th round. He's a star. It was a defense that was long and fast and athletic, and they're running around, and Pete's got the energy, and the guys are buying into it. And it kind of looks like and feels like and sounds like they had a quarterback with a chip on his shoulder in the 3rd round, Russell Wilson. This team has a quarterback with his chip on his shoulder, Geno Smith. We all buried him, myself included. But Pete creates this self-belief and this swagger and this attitude. It's what he did the first time. It's what he did now. How long can it go? What's the ceiling? I don't have any idea. But I'll give Pete credit. He took a swing. He didn't care what anybody said. He's been saying this team's better than people think. We are not tanking. We can win games. We can win a division. I didn't buy it. But it's a formula. A lot of the pieces of the previous formula, you can see them now working. Yeah, that was a message to somebody. Russell Wilson, who did win in London. Most people didn't see it, but Russ did cook a little. Okay, it was late. 4th quarter, couple drives. For organizations like the Miami Dolphins that have not won a lot, all right, they get very defensive. If they win, they want you to just shower them with praise. But before the season, I said, here's what's going to happen. By getting Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill together, this is the fastest receiving combo of all time. They're going to have a lot of yards, and a dilemma is going to be created. Is that Miami's going to win games and get into the playoffs. I predicted this. And everybody's going to be like, we got our franchise quarterback. And Tua is small with an average arm. And what's going to happen? Right now, this Miami team is built to win in September and October. They're built to win in a dome. They're built to win in warm weather. But the AFC, they're going to have to go on the road in the playoffs to Buffalo, Kansas City, Cincinnati, and Baltimore, and it's cold and it's windy in January, and you know how it's going to end. Miami yesterday, once again in a dome. Tua's got weapons, a really smart head coach. You bring that surfboard, though, to the Rocky Mountains, you'll see how limited you are. And I watch Miami, and I'm like, I know how this is going to end. This is exactly what we predicted. Smart head coach, spent a lot of money on weapons, the fastest wide receiving combo I've ever seen in my life, and proof of concept with what I'm saying is going to be December 18th, this team at Buffalo. It's going to be 7 degrees and raining and windy sideways. January 1st, Miami at New England. Is not all teams, years and years ago, there was a team, the Phoenix Suns, they had Steve Nash, who won the MVP. They were so built for the regular season. And then they would get into the postseason, and they didn't have much interior defense. And, they relied on a lot of fast break points where in the regular season, people don't get back. And in the end, that Phoenix team that was so much fun to watch, scoring 120 a game, they didn't do anything. They'd go up against San Antonio and Tim Duncan. They wouldn't do anything. And when I watch Miami and they're all going to get defensive, we predicted this. They're built for domes. They're built for warm weather. But eventually in the AFC, you're going to have to go to Cincinnati or to Baltimore or to Kansas City and to Buffalo, and it's going to be 30-mile-an-hour winds. And this small quarterback with an average arm and all these fast weapons are going to be reduced to sitting on the sidelines and watching the big, strong quarterbacks do their thing. It's not that it's not fun, but it is predictable. And you got to be careful about being seduced now. Because we said what's going to happen. Tua's going to win a lot of games, going to get a lot of yards. And that's exactly what is happening. And I watched them yesterday, and Detroit's up and down the field on them. And then eventually Detroit's defense is awful, and Detroit's pretty bad. And here comes Miami flying back 100 miles an hour. And I will say this, so much fun to watch. I mean, that team is just blazing. But that is a team. That's the Phoenix Suns. They are built for September, October, and early November football. It's going to be really interesting to watch how this puppy plays out. I want to see him in Buffalo. I want to see him in New England. I want to see him if they go to the playoff because they're not winning this division. So it's a wild card story. And this is a team, some team, we've said this about Kyler Murray in Arizona. They're not built to go north. Right? And divisions matter. For years and years, the reason the Bears wanted Jay Cutler, strong arm, cold weather. The reason Aaron Rodgers or Joe Flacco or Big Ben are great in northern divisions. It's windy. It's cold. Kyler Murray's great in a dome. Kyler Murray is great down south. But if you put Kyler Murray in Baltimore, you put him in Chicago, maybe doesn't look the same or play the same. So, yeah, I'm not anti-Miami, but I feel like watching this team, I can see how it's going to end. But congrats for the numbers. They're impressive. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.